I am going to move to Ben Johnson and his interview, sideline interview, halftime interview with Aditi Kinkawala. I'm so pleased with myself. I did a lot of studying so I could pronounce her name. Let's watch this interview at halftime, and then we'll react.
Your offense has struggled to take advantage of those takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you tell them to get things going?
That it wasn't our brand of football. We're capable of a lot more, and so we're hitting the reset button here at halftime, and we're going to come back and establish our identity here in the second half.
So you need to change what you're doing.
I don't know. You think so? We're going to be just fine.
Thank you.
All right, Ben Johnson, all business. The little intimidation,
How do you really feel?
Menacing stare.
I got no problem with this. I got a problem with all the people whining and crying about it. She's not really in the wrong. She's just trying to do her job. She's been given a bad job. She knows nothing about football. She's there as a DEI hire. And you know, she's got the Indian name and the Indian heritage, and that's bonus DEI. And coaches have to put up with these interviews from men and women at halftime. But sitting there talking to a woman when your team just got his butt beat in the first half and you're fired up as a head coach, I just went in there and gave them what for and got my team fired up. And you got to come out and someone's asking you a question and it sounds like you need to change what you're doing. And what she meant was, do you need to change what you're doing? But he heard you need to change what you're doing. I got no problem with Ben Johnson, and I feel like this woman, like a lot of sideline reporters, are put into a system that's intended to put them in a bad spot, and that's what happened here. Steve?
Yeah, first of all, you know, people could say that was kind of rude. You know what, folks? If you had to coach Caleb Williams every day, what type of mood would you be in? That's all I got to say. The other thing was I thought the interaction was fine. And the way she said that last thing, I think she was kind of saying, so I think she phrased it. Maybe she would have added a word like, do you? You're right, Jason. But here's the question that I have for those who are now so critical of Ben Johnson. Are you nearly critical, or were you nearly critical ever of Greg Popovich? And let me just say how it's different. The NBA has 82 games. They don't even care about 60 of them. In fact, Greg Popovich would flat out rest guys because he told you these games do not matter to me. So why is he being stressed out? Every game in the National Football League basically counts because it's 17. So I would argue that the level of intensity for a coach in every game is much greater than it is in the NBA. So I would actually expect him to be a little bit more intense than your average NBA coach, certainly Greg Popovich.
TJ?
Well, I think Steve's right. I mean, I think all he has to do to solve this is to go on a tirade against ICE in a press conference, or he can talk about gun control or Black Lives Matter, and then all will be forgiven immediately. No problems whatsoever. Listen, I totally agree. This is a nothing burger, as Hillary Clinton would say. Look, it's a head coach in his first year who's under a lot of pressure at halftime. If you don't want intense answers, then don't ask them questions like, have you ever been around football? What are you even talking about? I'm trying to figure out, like, she seems, intimidated. Okay, good. Like, who is intimidated by a head coach, an NFL head coach? Virtually everybody. The entire world is intimidated by NFL head coaches. So if you look intimidated, okay, great. So are the rest of us. That's just how it works. And so, yes, he's coming off. He's just given a talk to fire his guys up. They're going in the second half. He's trying to win a game, which, by the way, they did. And he misheard a question, probably. I think you're probably right, Jason. This whole thing seems like nonsense, but of course, social media does what social media does, and they're going to try to get him to back down. And the greatest thing would be if Ben Johnson would just double down and say, don't ask me dumb questions, you won't get dumb answers. That's the answer to this.
I'll give him credit, and we won't play it, but he did not really back down. He wasn't super aggressive with his follow-up. He just basically said, hey, I think I heard it different than what was intended, but he didn't back down. And the other thing is, he was 1,000% right with his analysis. Hey, this isn't our brand of football, and we're going to be just fine. We'll come out. And that's what his team did. And I saw it last night with Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn tried to give a similar answer, I think, headed into the locker room, not leaving the locker room at halftime. He's wrong. His team didn't come, they were actually playing Jets brand of football, and they played some more in the second half. but he tried to mimic what Ben Johnson did, and it seems like they both kind of have that Dan Campbell type attitude, and it's refreshing to me.
Well, Jason, Dan Campbell's actually pretty good at this. He knows how to play the game, but could you imagine back 35, 40 years ago, if you had to put Mike Ditka in that spot, that would have been television gold. Here's a couple things about Ben Johnson that I've learned, okay? Number one, it's a stressful job. Have you seen the pictures from when he got hired at the press conference to last month? He looks like a guy in the 7th year of his presidency. He has aged. I mean, it's a stressful job. And the more I read about Ben Johnson, the more I research it, and the more he coaches hard. I'm just telling you, he's one of these guys that will actually scream and yell and has demands. He's not a player's coach. It may look like it, but it reminds me of that old saying from Shelley Finkel, a noted boxing manager who was an absolute monster in the negotiating room, and he was cunning. He once said about himself, "I might seem milquetoast, but I'm not." That's Ben Johnson.
Jason, I'm trying to figure out, and look, you're in the media, so maybe you've got a different opinion on this. Why do people think we're entitled to these interviews anyway? You get nothing out of them. There's only ever negative things. When have you ever gotten any nugget of gold coming from a head coach running from the sideline, running from the locker room to the sideline in the 20 seconds that you have? You have generally some unqualified person who doesn't know anything about football asking dumb questions. The coaches say nothing, and then you move on to the sideline. The only outcome is negative.
The expectation has nothing to do with serving the audience, serving football fans. When you hear me talk about pay fans respect, the entire system that they've built has nothing to do with sports fans. And it's all about what she's there for is the guilt trip that men have been put on. You've been unfair to women. They would be starting NFL quarterbacks if there wasn't so much sexism in the 17 and 1800s. And so therefore, out of debt, out of reparations, we're going to create a job, a purposeless job, sideline reporter. And we're going to let you dress up and hold a microphone and stop coaches and players in and out of the locker room to ask a question. And we're going to pay you $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year as reparations because we prevented you from being the starting running back of the Chicago Bears, and so you get to be sideline reporter. It's reparations is what reparations reporter is what they should call them. The job is pointless. It's TV networks and the NFL. Hey, I feel bad about what we did to women. Instead of having the balls to say, man, these women owe us a debt. We done died in wars. We done sacrificed. Our life expectancy is 9-10 years shorter than theirs. When a burglar comes to the house, unless we're some gay Negro in Louisville that lets Breonna Taylor go answer the door instead of him going to answer it, we take all the risk here. We fall off buildings as roughnecks and all that. But anyway, so you just got
who's good though, Jason?
I did. Yeah. Oh.
Tony Saragusa was the only good sideline reporter I've ever witnessed, actually. Tony was good, and he was fun. And the whole reason to go down to the sideline is he would make you laugh. He had something in common with the players, the coaches that he was talking to, and you could half get something out of that. I think generally we should do away with the job altogether. I think it offers absolutely nothing. It's not helping the fans. You're not paying any fans the respect. You're actually wasting my time by having us go over and talk to a head coach who's going to tell you absolutely nothing and is generally pretty frustrated. But if you were going to have somebody, go get a fat, jolly old offensive lineman, whatever Saragusa was, and let's have some fun. That's the only purpose of the job.
Just have AI go over and stand in front of a coach and in the first half, you only ran for 20 yards. In the second half, you ran for 40. What changed? That's Lisa Salter's what changed question is the standard question for all sideline reporters. You did this in the third quarter, but you did this in the fourth quarter. What changed? Don't miss a second of Fearless. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with our latest content.